Greetings, friend. I will show you what happens after an amazing Sudoku blunder. Not only that, I explain all the tips, tricks, and strategies used to solve this puzzle from the 2023 Sudoku Grand Prix. Click below if you want to give it a go. With that, it's solving time. I remember looking up here and seeing there's a 3 in rows 2 and 3. So the only place left for 3 in block 2 was right there. And then same thing, you see this 2 and this 2. So I knew that was a 2. And it leaves a 5, 9 up here. I did participate in round 3, and I was cruising along this puzzle. I'm going to show you where I got into a little bit of trouble here in just a minute. After doing across row 1 here, I was able to kind of come down and see, they got these 4s. In row 8 and 9 is the 4. So I'm doing just some simple cross hatching, nothing real fancy here. Then I saw that the 3 and the 1 here and the 3 and the 1 here create a 1-3 hidden pair. And so this is nice. When you can put in a hidden pair, that means you're going to limit what goes in these other 2 cells. And so what happens is now this cell can only be a 9 and this cell can only be a 2. If you're not familiar with hidden pairs and the other top 7 strategies needed to solve a puzzle like this, check out my pinned comment below and download my 100% free Sudoku solving guide. So I remember seeing this, and I remember, you got these 2s cutting across and this 2 coming down. So the only place left for a 2 and block 7's right there. And then I kind of remember working my way up the middle band here. So you can see there's this 2 now comes up column 6 and across row 3. So they will solve for a 2 right there. And then this 5 comes up, so there's only one place left for 5 up here in block 2, which is right there. And this leaves a 1-7 naked pair. I remember seeing that, and this is great. You want to see this, because what happens is a naked pair, like this 1-7, also acts as a pointing and claiming pair for each candidate. So that means the 1 can't be anywhere else along column 6, and neither can the 7. And what this does is, since the 1s are limited to these 2 spots up here in block 2, a 1 can't be here anymore, so you can solve that for a 3 and solve this for a 1. This is something you always want to kind of look at, the power of these naked and hidden pairs and what they can do as far as solving candidates. Next thing I remember seeing is I did finish up the block. So we're missing an 8, and it looks like we're missing a 6. Well, the 8's right here in row 5, so you can put the 8 here, and you can put the 6 right there. I did not fill out the naked triple right here because there's not enough to work with. You got 3, 4, 5. You only got a 4 here and a 5 there. Not enough to work. And then these 2 cells would be a 2 and a 7. There's no 2 and a 7 in block 4 or 6 at this time. Then I changed my focus, kind of went over here and saw, hey, I got this 3 now and this 3. So the only one place left for a 3 right there. And then with these 1s, so one place left for a 1 right there. And this is kind of where, in this neighborhood, where I got into my blunder, right? Because you see this 9 cuts across. There's only one place left for a 9 in block 9. And so that part was good, but for some reason, I reasoned that you could put a 9 right here. I thought that that there's a 9. And so around this time, I ended up putting a 9 here, but there's no logical explanation like why I did that. And that caused a severe blunder. Because what I ended up doing is with this 9 and this 9, I ended up putting a 9 over here, and so I marked a 9 without actually seeing that there was already a given 9 right there. And then I started making a couple more solves. And when you're solving Sudoku Grand Prix, you're doing this with paper and pencil. You're not allowed to use a computer solver, so I wouldn't have had something flash up like you're seeing right now. And so I had to go, I went a few more digits, and then I got to this point where I realized I had 2 9s in the row. And that was bad, but I couldn't remember and go back to fix the problem because I had some other digits put in there and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And so I couldn't just go back and take the 9 out. I had some other digits already put in there. So I ended up going back to the beginning and starting all over again. If you have some better techniques on how to backtrack doing pencil and puzzle, please put in the comments. I'd love to hear it because otherwise all I do is just start over, and that takes a lot of time. And this reminds me of another video I featured where a world champion in Sudoku made a big blunder. It had to do with the handwriting. So I'll put a link to that at the end. You do want to check that out. And while you're at it, subscribe to Smart Hobbies. to solve Sudoku even better. So let's go back, and I end up kind of restarting that whole puzzle. But what should I have done, right? I didn't put the 9 right there. What I should have done is actually seeing you have a 9 and 5 right here and a 5, 9 right here. And this is going to be kind of close to the actual solve I did the second time, because this creates a 5, 9 hidden pair, right? The 5 and 9 are limited to these two cells up here in block 3. Okay, and that creates a lot more, that creates some more restriction for us. And then what I should have seen is that, you know, these are like a pointing pair, like I talked about this 1 and 7, which would have limited the 9s to these two spots here in block 6. And then if you're cutting across, you see this 1 in row 4 and 6, and this one coming up column 7, the only place to solve a 1 would be right there, which means you can solve this cell for a 9. And that would have been the correct way to go about solving this puzzle. And so I remember kind of going through this area, you know, checking out. Now we only have 3 cells remaining here in column 9. Well, this can't be a 2 because of here, and this can't be a 2 because of here. So this has to be your 2, which creates a 6, 7, which we can't solve yet. And then the 1s kind of help us out, because now, because of this hidden pair, the 1's limited to this cell right here, which means now we can actually solve this for a 7 and solve that for a 1. And then you can come back and solve this for the 6 and solve that for the 7. And what do you have remaining right here? It looks like a 6 and an 8. I have an 8 right there. So they will solve that for an 8, solve that for a 6. And then if you go up here, you only have, you know, 4 and a 7 remaining. And so now we can kind of go up here and kind of start filling in some of these blocks, which you only have 2, 3 cells remaining. This one you're missing a 4 and a 7. Well, we got the 7 right there. So here's your 7 and here's your 4. We'll get to that 5, 9 a little bit later. But if you come down here, now we only have 2 cells in block 6. So we're missing a 3 and we're missing a 6. Well, I got a 6 right here. And so I remember filling that 6 in and then putting the 3 right there kind of during the resolve, because a lot of these cells were kind of easy to see. They're pretty close together, and I enjoyed that. And then if you come over here, what are we missing? It looks like a 2 and a 7. Well, I got my 2 here. So here's your 2 and here's your 7. And if you remember, I said this was a 3, 4, 5. We got the 3 and the 4 right here. This actually now has to be your 5. And we don't have enough for the 3 and the 4 yet, but we can look over here and go, I need a 7 and a 9. There's your 7, which means this has to be a 7, and that has to be a 9. And now we're putting a lot of pressure to kind of, you know, look down and solve the rest of this. So if you look right here, what are we missing? Looks like a 6, 8, 9. Can't solve that just yet. But we can finish up this row. And always, whenever you see a full house, which means there's only 1 candidate remaining, you do want to go back and try to solve that. So we can solve that right away for an 8, which puts more pressure now down here in this block 7, which is what we're trying to figure out. You can see here, once you get the 7 in, now we can gobble up some of these marks. You get that 4 and a 7 right there. With this will give us that 4 and 3 that I was looking for. And then when you're missing here, it looks like a 5, 8, which we don't have yet. And then right here would be a 2, 3, and a 6. Well, I have this great pattern I love to show you with my naked triples. We have a 3 right here, and we have a 2, 3 right here. So you have 2 of the 3 missing candidates in one column, and then another one's repeating another column. We know we can solve all 3 right away. You know, this has to be your 6. That has to be your 3. It's the only place it can go, and so this would have to be your 2. And I love being able to show that. And then the next thing you can solve, you know, remember, get the 7 right here. So we're missing the 7 and the 5, so we put more pressure there. We can disambiguate these 9s and 5s up here and get all that knocked out. And now what you have is a 4 and a 5 and a 6. Well, I have the 4 and a 6 here, so that's got to be your 5. I got the 4 here, so here's your 4. There's your 6. Nice. And now we should be able to get that 6, 8, 9, right? We got the 8 and the 9 right here. So there's going to be your 6. I got the 9 right there repeating. So that's your 8. And that would be your 9. And then that would be your 8. We have 2 cells remaining. We're missing the 5. I see right there. And then our last cell is an 8. You need to watch this other video if you want to avoid an amazing Sudoku blunder of your own. Thank you so much for watching.